Hello, my name is Ray Abel. I'm with Banson Labs, and I'm here to talk about our technology called Xogo. Xogo is a hardware and software platform that connects the 1 billion people in the world with disabilities to all consumer technology. Now, the easiest way to explain how this works is to talk about Bradley. Bradley's our first customer. He's 11 years old. He's a great family, super smart kid. He's funny. He has a twin sister, actually. They love each other, even though they fight constantly. And Bradley, just like any other 11-year-old, has problems. So in school, he's trying to figure out his social circles. He has to worry about homework. But Bradley also has cerebral palsy. So when you see Bradley's wheelchair there behind him, he has 3 switches on the top of his wheelchair that allows him to connect with the world around him. It's 2 switches on the side of his head and 1 on the back. And that's the only way Bradley has to interact. And currently, those switches only work with his wheelchair. And when you look, if anyone's here familiar with the assistive tech market, assistive tech is just the word for stuff that works with wheelchairs and people with disabilities, it's very expensive. So this slide you're looking at right now is not a picture from like Popular Mechanics in 1980. This is actually current technology that's on the market. And when you look at this stuff, that keyboard up there is not a very expensive keyboard because it does something super special or it's made of great hardware quality. It looks old, it's made for someone with 1 hand, but it's $500. The buddy button you see up there, the $60 buddy button, those are the things that Bradley has on the sides of his wheelchair. And it's basically, do you ever see those Staples, this is easy buttons? It's one of those connected to a headphone jack, and they're $60 minimum. I also picked some of the cheaper stuff here. The Bluetooth versions that go from anywhere from $150 to $300 for these switches. The Sip and Puff, this thing here that looks like it's a medical device from some like crazy museum that shows like what people had to go through like a long time ago. That is a device where you sip and puff to be able to click buttons and you can move it around with your mouth. And that, again, $1,500. And the joystick, I just want to point that one out, that joystick is cheap. Some of the wheelchair joysticks you see that have the little switches on them go for $3 grand and more. $3,000 for those switches. This is a cheap one. But it has 3 buttons and the joystick itself. Now that one's Bluetooth at least, so it's got some current technology built into it. But if you look at an Xbox controller, those things are $59.99 and they do 50 times as much as what these joysticks do. Now, people have already bought this though. So people have these devices at home, that's what they're using currently for their wheelchairs, for their interactions with the world, but they don't connect to anything else. It connects to your wheelchair and that's it. So what we do with Xogo is we connect all those devices, and not just those very expensive devices, but anything that works through USB, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or the 3.5mm jacks, which, again, it sounds crazy that people are using headphone jacks in today's day and age, but that's a primary way to be able to connect to assistive tech. So people plug those into Xogo, and then Xogo outputs that to things like game systems, cable boxes, smart home, which is like your thermostats and your door locks, and media devices. So the way we did this with Bradley wanted to play Xbox his first time. Now typically, if you have a disability and you want to buy a specialty controller for an Xbox, you're looking at least $1,000 for a controller that's custom made for you. You have a specific disability, you have specific abilities, and they connect you for that $1,000. But if you can't use all the buttons on a controller, you're out of luck, because if you can't use those 20 buttons, you can't play the game. So what we did with Bradley, we connected him and his sister together for Xbox One. They were playing WWE Raw. That was the first game we wanted to play. It was the wrestling game. And so Bradley was able to use those 3 switches to be able to control the punching, the kicking, and the pinning, and his sister was able to control the rest. So they were actually playing together, working together in this game. It was the first time Bradley's ever been able to play a game with his sister. So not only was it independence for Bradley, but it was a nice social aspect to it. I'll just talk about one other person we worked with. His name's Mark. First person I saw use this. This was pretty much right as I came on board with what we were doing here. Mark is completely nonverbal. Bradley's family can understand him. If you haven't been around Bradley much, you really have a hard time with it. Mark is completely nonverbal. Mark had 1 switch on his wheelchair, and he was playing with Sean, a guy that works with us. They had never met before. Mark had never played a video game before, and they were playing FIFA soccer. They get done with the game. They were having some fun. Actually, Mark scored a goal, which I had never seen before in FIFA, because FIFA soccer on video games is as boring as regular soccer. Sorry if there's soccer. But when they got done, we were waiting because he used what's called iTyper. So Mark was looking at this screen and typing out what he was going to say. And we were kind of waiting. We're like, all right, we hope he loved it. What's he going to say? Like, he's going to say this is the most amazing invention ever. And he got done. The first thing he did was talk about how bad Sean was at soccer. And from a guy's perspective, that's when you know, like, you kind of bonded with someone. As another guy, you start making fun of him. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're kind of my friend. So these two had never met before. Sean had never played a video game before. Or Mark had never played a video game before, and they're able to connect and have that kind of bonding. So it's for people who haven't met before, they have that social aspect. It's for people like Bradley and his twin sister that have never played before, are able to interact together. And those same 3 switches, if Bradley just wants to interact with technology on his own, can be used for other things as well. So for example, a cable box, those same 3 switches, we can have it set up where he can control the volume up and down, hit next, and he can control the channel up and down, hit next. He can control the power off and on, hit next. And for people with more abilities that have joystick access or can use more switches, you can adjust it to it. So with Xogo, most technology right now that's on the market for assistive tech, you have to adapt to that. It's very expensive, it's outdated, it looks like it's from the 1940s, and you have to adapt to it. And it's something that's hard to do. With our technology, you take the stuff you already have, and whatever works for you, and Xogo adapts to your abilities. So that's Xogo. So our goal is to take the 1 billion people with disabilities in the world, connect them to all technology, and we want to be the hub that makes that happen. So, questions?